Hey everybody watching, I'm Isaac Anderson. I'm the associate producer here at Studio 67. I'm here with Keybone. Keybone, man, how you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So let's go ahead and let's get right into some questions. How would you define your music?
Yes, well, I would love to say that my music is conscious music. My music has a lot of lyrical content in it. So if you're a fan of let me say hip hop from the 80s and the 90s, yes, my music is good for you. Some one or two people I've often said that my music sounds like it's from let me say the west side of the US of A. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, the West
let me
Side.
say it sounds like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like that.
Yeah. And that's a compliment too. What to be compared to that kind of music? Yeah, it's great. But yeah, what inspires you
Yeah.
to kind of make your music?
A lot of it starts from the events that happen to me. I like to write about things that happen to me, things that happen to people around me. Yeah, a lot of stories. Africa is known for having a lot of stories, and these stories actually have a lot of similarities. Like you can hear like three, four stories that sound like the same story, and with little twist here and there. So this event actually inspired me to put pen to paper and put these things to writing to at least do like more like I'm documenting it for generations to come and for people who want to like relive those memories and remember some of these things. Yeah, I like to write music based on events like that. Because history will definitely repeat itself. These are things that may happen again and again and again, and nothing beats you writing something that has to do with history in it.
And most likely, if it's happened to you, it's also like someone can also kind of grasp onto that and relate to it. Also, I think that's really beautiful. That's really nice. Um,
Yes, correct.
so, are you the only musical person in your family? Is there anybody else in your family that's kind of musically inclined?
Well, I believe a lot of them are musically inclined, but maybe I would think I'm the only one that has stepped foot in the studio.
Oh, really?
I hear them, yeah, I can hear them singing in the kitchen, hear them singing in the bathroom,
Yeah.
but nah, nobody ever took it that serious to go professional
Yeah.
about it.
It's like they're all they like to do it for fun, but not no, necessarily as a
Y-
profession.
y- yes, correct. Yes,
Oh, well,
that's true.
that's cool. But like, what is the music scene in Nigeria? Like, how is it? Like, is it kind of difficult to be an artist there, or?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to be an artist here because there's this mentality that when you go to school, you must earn a living as an engineer, as a doctor, as a scientist. There's a lot of things. So when you choose art form, as a matter of fact, they believe if you want to be an artist, you need to go through the art form of school, which means you have to go to school of arts
Mhm.
and probably be a sculptor, be like a painter. And these days you see people who are of different professions, of different background, and they want to dive into music, and it's very hectic. That's one. Two, it becomes more hectic when there's no platform here. We don't have like a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, our music industry doesn't have a structure. So when you're going into music, it's like you're walking blindly into it. So you learn a lot of things as you go, and we don't have a lot of mentors who have done these things. So eventually, you may not even have the patience to learn these things. So I can say it's kind of hectic. It's pretty hectic, and like for me now, I'm an independent artist. That makes it even more hectic because you don't have a sponsor, you don't have a label, you don't have a lot of these things. If you're gonna end up having a manager, it has to be somebody from your family and friend circle who probably has the same passion as you, but you're not gonna just see someone who's like a top-notch manager that wants to manage you. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. It's not like a place
Yeah,
like
it's kind of
California
hectic.
where there's just like everyone wants to manage you, or like it's thousands of people going there. It's a little bit smaller scale.
Yeah, very small. Like it's beyond even small. Because now, when you tell somebody you're an artist, the first thing they don't even believe in you.
Oh,
That makes it even more difficult. When you have a demo, nobody wants to listen to your demo because they believe if your demo is good enough, then you must be on that like A list. But you can't make it to that A list when your immediate environment doesn't even want to listen to your demo. So you need a lot of perseverance. You need to be persistent to have that thing going on for you. So it's very hectic,
Yeah.
I must say.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of musicians need is drive. No matter where you are, you always need drive and determination, and that's something you definitely got, my friend. But your song
Yeah,
"Let Me
that's true.
Go" kind of there's a line in there that says, "This is more than just we came, fame or game. This is word, this is life, this is why we strive." Like, what does that mean to you? Like we were talking earlier about like the things that inspire your music. Like, where did that come from? Like, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, well, the song "Let Me Go" it was a song I was writing that has to do with, like, it's more like a love song, but because it's an hip hop form, is a love song where I was talking about when you love me, using myself as an example though, but generalizing it. When you love something, when you love someone, it's best you tell them when you can, because I've seen instances where people go to funerals and they start crying and they're saying things that they could have said. So on that song, I was feeling like, okay, using myself as an example now, if you love me, you say you feel this type of way for me, tell me when you can tell me, because this is what we strive for. I'm either striving hard to communicate with you when you're still alive, when I can still talk to you, or when we're still friends, but we probably have, let me say, reconcilable differences. We have a lot of things going on. We have our ups and downs. We are probably not on the same page, and we end up not ironing these issues out. And eventually, I start feeling this way, like, oh, there are things I could have said to Isaac, for instance, now that I never ended up saying. So on that song, I was saying this is word, this is which is how we communicate, just mere words, and this is life. After this life, I believe there's an afterlife, but you can't be talking about an afterlife when you've not even used your first life.
Yeah,
And when I speak about fame, I was speaking about how we get caught up in the moment where each person is trying to be celebrated in your own best ways and your own achievements, and you end up actually forgetting about the other person. So now it becomes a game when it's a competition, rather than it being a completion. We are all in this whole circle of life to get to where we're going to at the same time. But when you start competing, you want to be the first person to get there. I want to be the first person to get there. But eventually, if we hold hands, we're going to get there at the same time. We're going to get there stronger. We're going to get there maybe even faster. Yes, so the lyrics were just based around things like that.
oh wow, yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, hi, this is Keybone, and you're listening to Let Me Go on Big Bang Radio Series 67.
In the air, can you turn it up a notch? Can you? It's all about love. It's all about love. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me know. Let it show. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me go. Let me grow. If all you feel is love, you must know I feel it too. As a behold, I can't believe my ass is beautiful. As we're getting older, every day this can get critical. Way beyond the physical, that is when I need you to sleep and keep an eye open. I will be a rapper. Don't you worry, I'm dope. Your love alone will see me through. Big things you see me do. Big dreams are coming true. Home and abroad, key is what the listeners are warming to and I'm into. You shouldn't stress, we are blessed. We more than conquerors, meaning they can conquer us. We are stronger now. Our footprints will last longer now. This is more than just became fame or game. This is word, this is life. This is why we strive. This means more than the war, more than my mics on 5. On the other end, we gotta understand how to let go from the get-go. Not cause I'm saying it, because love said so. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me know. Let it show. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me go. Let me grow. Love is fair, love is always in the air. When I'm not, I'll be there. I will care, I will share. Try my best to prepare. Two is better than one. desire. It quells my fire, helps to keep me higher. When apps couldn't give me higher, in webs and I was tired, I almost retired. In my deep sleep, I heard the beep beep. We keep what we reap. I hope your love is true, not the same as loving shoes. Why choose or lose all to vanity? Why the hell we would let it start humanity? It's all insanity. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me know, let it show. If you love me like you say you do. You gotta let me go, let me grow. Love is a beautiful thing, love is everything. Matter of fact, let's say love is everything. If you ain't got love, you gotta have it now. Cause if you ain't got love, it's about it now. Love is everything. Matter of fact, love is a beautiful thing. You gotta know this for yourself, homie. You gotta know this for yourself, sister. You gotta know this for yourself. Cause if you love me like you say you do, I will know, you will know.
So, I mean, we've been talking about some of your lyrics and like some things that inspired you. Like we know that you're a very talented man, a very talented lyricist, very talented singer. But do you play any instruments?
Not at all. Not at all. For now,
Really?
I think I'm
No.
trying to learn how. Yeah, I'm actually learning how to make my voice the instrument.
And that's a
Because
beautiful instrument. Yeah.
yeah, because now it's kind of cliche that you have to have this, it's like a prerequisite now, where you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to have this and that to become an artist. Whereas the main thing you need the most is your voice. The voice is the biggest tool you have, which is one of the most unutilized tools we have. Or let me say underutilized tools we have.
Yeah.
So when you have a voice that's so powerful, and you're not using that voice, and you end up picking up a lot of other like alien things along the way, then you end up neglecting that most powerful thing you have. And initially, I actually tried. Actually showed interest in playing guitar. I showed interest in playing the piano, but I kind of realized that I'm not even able to even utilize this voice of mine
Yeah.
to my most usage, but I'm already like diving into a lot of other things, and this thing started becoming like a distraction. Now, at the point in time, my music genre even started changing, because as soon as I started picking up this instrument, I started trying to compose music in that style of
Hmm.
instrumentation. So I felt like, okay, no, I am more of a hip hop and rap artist, and this instruments are making me start sounding like a pop artist. Like here we have Afrobeat, for instance. Now a lot of Afrobeat artists are either saxophonists or they play the trumpet. And as soon as you pick this instrument, you start becoming an Afrobeat artist.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it just takes you to like a whole new dimension. And I just want to avoid that, because at that point in time, I'm still even growing even till now.
Yeah.
I can't be like 3-4 faced artist. You don't know me as an art. You don't know me as a rapper now. And the next thing, I'm already introducing myself as a saxophonist.
Yeah.
Then it starts to get confusing. Like, who are you? Who are you, or what do you really represent? So I felt like, okay, let me work on my voice. Let me get my voice out there. And as soon as my voice is established out there, everything can follow suit.
Yeah, and that's great. We that's a very unique thing to do, and we need more artists to kind of like step up and kind of say I want to do my own thing instead of kind of like blend in with the crowd. And that's something we all like here at Studio 67. We like about you, and I know all your fans like that about you. But
Thank you very much.
absolutely, man. So like, what are some things you're looking forward to the future? Like with it's like the next few years, like with your music. Where do you want to see it go?
Well, as an independent artist, I've made up my mind that I intend to own my masters for a long time. I intend to make sure that I stay indie. I own the rights to my music. I'm in charge of publishing my music. I'm in charge of my releases. And let me say, in 1 to 3 years from now, I see myself maybe having like a small indie label, helping other indie artists, or at least showing them the way to go. I don't want to be the type of person who's going to have a record label and I want to be the boss and I want to take a certain percent or certain cuts out of your rights. I'd rather teach you how to go, teach you how to start like I did, get your music to college radios, get your music to hospital radios, get your music to indie radios as an indie artist, underground radios. You'll be surprised now, for instance, now when I started in Nigeria and I released my music as an independent artist, I was labeled as an underground artist. And I was feeling like being an independent artist doesn't make you an underground artist. Being independent just means you don't have a label to sign you. But because these people didn't understand how this whole system works, they just threw me straight to the underground. And I felt like, okay, I can start from the underground. That means I need to actually gain more momentum. Now I feel like, okay, it wasn't a bad thing that I was labeled underground, because that actually made me dig deep into the underground. I feel like, okay, I'm in the underground. That means there are underground radio stations. From there, I started from the least underground radio station, and I felt like, okay, let me get my music to all the underground radio stations. After that, let me get my music to all the indie radio stations. And that was actually when I found out that when you're underground or when you're indie, you're actually not alone. In the beginning, it feels like you're all by yourself, you're alone, and nobody's going to help you. But eventually, I felt like, okay, this is not a bad thing. And I started small, but I see myself in, let me say, 2020, actually way bigger than this. Because by then, I would have gathered more spins, I would have gathered more popularity index, and all of these things about you being indie is going to be a thing of the past. I actually foresee that a lot of old artists, a lot of people that I listened to in the 80s and the 90s, they will come back and release 1 or 2 EPs and albums before they eventually retire again. Because now, a lot of people, a lot of artists, we didn't know what happened to them. Probably they fell out of contract, they fell out of favor with their labels and they couldn't continue. They will come back with 1 or 2 EPs and they'll say, okay, this is what we want to do before we eventually sign out. And that's the future. Because now, it's going to help these record labels redefine what their positions are. What are we doing for these artists rather than just taking this X% or ratio out of their cuts?
Yeah. And
for them to do more. It's going to help more indie labels to do more too. Yeah. So it's the future. Being independent is the future, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
In the next 3 years, a lot of artists are going to be independent artists.
Yeah. And that's good. You have a little bit more, a lot more independence when you're actually in indie, because I mean that's what it means. And I mean it's a cool thing to go into. And you do feel like sometimes you're by yourself. I mean, I know a lot of guys that are in the indie field around here in North Carolina, and it is a little bit difficult sometimes to try to launch yourself up. I mean, some of the great artists that we know now, I mean, they started as kind of independent artists doing exactly what you're doing right now. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, who knows what the future might hold, man.
This is Keybone, and this is Ain't a Guy Like Me on Studio 67 Big Bang Radio.
I know you be thinking this song's about you, and I wouldn't doubt you, cause there's no me without you. So I had to write this song just for you. I've seen the pictures of your new man. From me, it's a far cry. When someone says you can't find love, it's a fat lie. We started off as BFs, now it's all BS. You chose to play my heart, or let's say we grew apart. Quit telling people I blew my part. I did what I could when I should, when things were good. The wrong turn has brought rant, I thought can't. Some way it led to this, what I ain't prepared to fix. It's a broken heart, I'm coming at you with a spoken heart, storming at you with a talking heart. What I embody over my dead body, it looks like a nerd, oh peace about it. I wish you the best. The rest is a choice like going to Saudi. Don't take the key or boning him. Don't get why you are boning him. Every other minute is phoning in. Makes you feel you were honing in. That's just a gimmick. Just at an infant stage. Once it gets past page, sooner or later, you won't tell if it's a lover or hater, if it is one that will cater. All I see in is a stopgap. Stop that, come back to your baby boo. Without you, I don't think I'm able. Your new man, he ain't a guy like me. If your new plans to date a guy like me, he can hit the gym, maybe later swim in him. There's nothing quite like me. Your new man, he ain't a guy like me. If your new plans to date a guy like me, he can hit the gym, maybe later swim in him. There's nothing quite like me. You may try to mute this or turn a deaf ear. I'm not where you left me, cause I already left there. For I couldn't accept fear. Switch my plan up, I had to man up. So I gladly stand up and stand for what I believe. Don't be worrying about the love I've been getting. That's all I give. It's a feedback and I need that. Read that. It's in between the lines. If you've seen the signs, you know the truth. But I noticed you were not that into me. You should know what that means to me. It's into me. I was working out with your new guy. Working out. I see your tweets and BS you talk about. I see you sweet and awestruck. So don't let your jaw drop. That I'll devour like a vulture. Cause I'm more in the culture of killing with lyrical torture. When you mess with the wrong guy, it's like a fun guy. It's quite closer than you think. More like you're not supposed to blink. Come day or night, it's what I bring. As I'm in the ring for the showdown. Gets with the flow now. Your new man, he ain't a guy like me. If your new plans to date a guy like me, he can hit the gym, maybe later swim in him. There's nothing quite like me. Your new man, he ain't a guy like me. If your new plans to date a guy like me, he can hit the gym, maybe later swim in him. There's nothing quite like me. He says sports is his hobby. Unlike me, he's choppy. What a mismatch if we are blinded by this trash or his cash. As I'm reminded of life in this flash, I can choose to care less. There's more fishes in the seas when I go hunting. I know one thing, there will never be another key. Smarter E was a clone. That's how he leave you alone. Out an inkling while thinking about us. Cause people may doubt us and try to mouth us. For new gist, as newbies, we grew this. It was all from the scratch. Thought you already knew this. Lost in words, like what's the catch? If what you want is a Superman, I'm more than a super duper man. Way on time than the Uberman. But you were clearly on your way out and calling it the safe route. So if I'm balling, I have to pay out. That's what I'm supposed to do. I wasn't opposing you when you took a left turn. Felt stranded, but I kept on. This is a wake-up call from the bro you slept on.
So we talked a little bit about your music and kind of like things you're looking for in the future, but let's talk about now. Like, what's a typical kind of a day in the life of Keybone? Even more than that, like after a day, like what do you go through like in a week?
Okay, well, let me say, starting from a Sunday. From Sundays, I go to church, I come back, I relax. Then from Mondays, work. Because, you know, I'm an independent artist, so I do a lot of my promotions myself. I'm always surfing the internet for new radios, new means of support. I'm always reading. I do a lot of studying about music publishing, right ownership. Because, like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to coaching a lot of independent artists. There are tons of artists out here whose main focus is just to get signed. And as soon as I run into some of these people, I always tell them, stop looking forward to being signed. Start looking forward to getting your music out there. Like, start small. So I spend a lot of time reading more about these things so that when it's time for me to summarize it to the layman, especially a layman artist in this context now, I don't want to just come before you and speaking out of sounding like because I did this after a couple of months and I'm confident. I want to be able to pour out that much confidence in you as well. So I spend a lot of time looking up for radios, communicating with radios, the announcers, the CEOs, learning from them, learning how to also get more support, learning how to write properly. I do a lot of research on a daily basis. I play a lot of sports too. I play table tennis, I play video games, I play football.
Oh, cool.
So I do a lot of cooking as well. I do a lot of things to distract me from the music, and that eventually links me back to the music. Yeah, so it's fun. It's a week of fun. It's a week of work as well, and it's worth giving a try.
Yeah. No, the cooking thing's actually interesting.
A week in my life is.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But like the cooking thing's actually really interesting. Like trying to like you're into expressing yourself through your music, but I mean cooking is also another expression, you know, of who you are and kind of trying to communicate kind of a story with food. That's cool. But yeah, I'm into food myself, so that's why I asked. But yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm studying culinary arts here at the college. So yeah, but
great.
Yeah, but what music was kind of a big part of your childhood?
Let me say soul music, R&B, soul music, a little bit of jazz music because my dad used to listen to jazz music, but I really didn't understand what it was. But I
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah, it was nice. I didn't know it was even called jazz then. I just saw it as this music that just keeps the whole house mellow, cool. Yeah, jazz music and a lot of rap and hip hop music. I listen to a whole lot of rap and hip hop music, especially hip hop from the United States and a little bit of grime music. The rap and hip hop music from the UK is called grime. I
Yeah.
listen to a couple of grime music too, but a lot of my influences came from the United States hip hop and rap music, particularly let me say the West Coast and the East Coast music. Yeah, the rap was good, and it was more in the 90s. Yeah, the 90s rap. A
Yeah.
lot of influences came from the 90s rap.
Like you like
Yeah.
the Biggie or Tupac? Which one?
I think I like Tupac.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, man after my heart. How about that? Yeah. No, that's cool. Do you have any favorite kind of artists besides kind of like just that what areas? Like what's your favorite musical artist?
Well, I have a lot. I have
Yeah.
a lot of favorite artists because it starts from the Smokey Robinsons, the R. Kelly, the Aretha Franklin. It goes on and on. It goes as far back as Celine Dion. Um,
Oh,
if it's hip hop and rap, I like Jay Z. I like Nas. I like Biggie and Tupac.
hmm.
I like them even up to the Drakes, the Kendrick Lamars. Yeah, I like a lot of hip hop artists. I like the Adeles. I like the Sharon. I like Beyonce. Yeah, I listen to like a wide range of artists.
Oh
I
wow.
don't I don't box myself. I listen to everybody. Everybody that's making music somehow
Yeah,
influences me. Every genre of music. I listen to a little bit of soft rock as well. Yeah, the
that's cool.
Aerosmiths and stuff. Yeah.
That's good. Well, like the more artists you listen to, kind of like you're the conglomeration of all the people that you listen to, kind of like regurgitating it out in like your own specific way. And I always thought that was really cool to kind of see how the artists before us kind of introduce into the new artists today, and that's how we get some really cool and unique sounds. And you know,
Yeah.
and that's really cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
and
that's
there's
true.
yeah, what we say?
I said that's true. That's true.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. So if there's one thing you kind of want to communicate with your music, what would it be?
Well, it would be to at least express the African culture, the African thing. A lot of people probably think Africa is just like a country. Africa is a continent with lots of countries in it, with lots of cultures, diversified cultures, um, languages, food, a lot of things. And the music in Africa is actually very, very different compared to what people think it is. A lot of rap and hip hop music is in Africa. A lot of R&B soul music is in Africa. A lot of African indigenous music are in Africa. So it's for me to use this platform to introduce African culture, African sounds, African orientation to people, educate people on what Africa is all about, educate people that Africa is not just that small enclosure that you think it is. There's life here. There's a whole lot of life going on here. There's a whole lot of activities going on here.
So we know you're a really talented writer. You make some really cool stuff. But as all writers do, we all get what's called writer's block a lot. So how do you kind of
Yeah, yeah.
personally deal with getting writer's block?
Well, I do a lot of, let me say, I keep to myself. I do a lot of meditation. I exercise. I eat. Like I do a lot of things that are abstract from writing. Like I can drop a pen for like a week or two and neglect it. Let like some real fresh events, things that would actually tickle my fancy a little bit, things that would speak to me from a fresh perspective. Yeah, I do a lot of that, and I've experienced it like once or twice. I actually heard about it a long time ago, but I used to feel like it was just some made up voodoo or story that could happen to you. But I've actually experienced it before, where you just feel blank and you don't want to really do stuff in regards to writing. But you need to let new experiences come in. That's what I do the most. I play video games. I go outdoor. I play soccer, for instance. Now I do outdoor events, mostly table tennis, billard, which is also called snooker. Yeah, I do things that are abstract from music or things that are abstract from writing, just to gather more momentum. which is not a bad thing because eventually, in most cases, when I come back to revisit anything I was writing or anything that I paused upon, I kind of feel like, yeah, I feel rejuvenated. I feel like I can bounce back faster, and it feels like it was a good break. Yeah, so it's for me, it's a break that even without even having this writer's block thing, you should actually take a break once in a while, so you don't feel exhausted.
Yeah.
I think it's more about like an exhaustion thing when you're using yourself. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing that happens though, so you just don't get like burnt out.
Yeah. So you're not just constantly staring at a computer or a piece of paper for a long time and try to force something out that might not be what you want. So I mean, it always is something
Yeah,
good to get away, and that's cool. But
yeah.
so do you have any kind of things working right now, like as far as projects go?
Yes, I'm working on like the first album that I released, Going Pro Volume One.
Hmm.
I'm writing songs for the Volume Two, which should be released if not late this year, definitely next year. So I started writing, and I often like to release my songs like closely. So as soon as I drop the next single, which is gonna be off the Volume Two, the album is gonna come like almost simultaneously. Let me say like 2 months max of 3 months apart.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I have all the songs written, recorded, mixed and mastered. Then as soon as the first single goes, because like the first album I released, I actually released 3 singles first before the album. This time around, I don't want to release more than 2 singles before the album comes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm actually working on the volume two now, and in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, let me say months, it's gonna be ready.
Oh, sweet. I can't wait to hear it too. Make sure you send us some at the studio so we can listen to it.
Most definitely.
Thank you. But so last
You're welcome.
question: what is the best way for fans of yours to kind of keep in touch with you?
Well, I keep a very open platform on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I use the same social handle. It's official Keybone, and my website is also officialkeybone.com. And I use a lot of these social media apps on a daily basis. So you can always find me. You can always write me. You can always follow any of those handles. I'm definitely going to respond to any of those handles.
Awesome. And that's awesome. You could keep up with your fans like that and keep such an open platform. But Keybone, thank you so much
Yeah,
for talking to me.
I
Thank.
appreciate talking to you as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you get in touch with Keybone. Thank you. Goodbye.